Hello, I'm Michael Smith. I'm the lead 6400 technician at LI-COR, and I'm here to show you how to change the chamber mixing fan in the 6400 head. What you will get from LI-COR is the 6400-902 mixing fan field installable kit. Comes with written instructions. Comes with 2 Allen wrenches that you'll need to use. And this container has the fan in it. The fan is inside of bubble wrap. Be very careful taking it out. The blades are somewhat fragile. This is what it looks like. It's got pins installed on the end of the wires for you. There's also an O-ring inside of the package that you will want to use to replace the one that's in there, even if it looks good. The reason for that is because it makes it easier to adjust the position of the fan with the new O-ring as opposed to one that's flattened. So I'm going to start by taking the head apart. Take the chamber, top of the chamber loose from the handle. Okay, and we'll remove the handle. You'll want to unplug these wires for the light source light sensor and the log button. If you have to, you can unplug these by pulling on the wires straight and steady, but don't pull on them too hard. Next comes the hinge. The 2 screws on the outside. And unplug the light source or whatever. Next, you'll want to unplug the thermocouple and unplug the exhaust tube from the bottom of the chamber. And remove the chamber. Okay, next are these 8 screws that hold on the top chamber manifold. I recommend not removing them. Get every one of them loose first. There's a vinyl gasket between this chamber manifold and the top of the block, so this feels like it's stuck. It just needs to be broken loose. And if you're lucky, the gasket will come off with it. Set that aside and just leave it. You can see the position of the mixing fan inside. And it turns freely, although your bad fan may not. Next, we need to remove the nose off of the front. To remove the match valve. You can leave the match valve hanging by these wires if you want to, or you can unplug the wires. I'll show unplugging the wires. They're polarized, so there's only one way that they go back on. This is the back of the back cover for the mixing fan. It's needed there because to keep the chamber from leaking. Then we can pull it off of there. The fan wires are plugged into the inside of this back cover. You'll need some tweezers to remove them, to unplug them. Okay, now the fan can be removed by pushing on it up through the chamber and pull out the old motor. And at this time, remove the O-ring that was with it. It's also a good time to clean the inside of the chamber since you don't have the fan in the way. Now we've removed the old fan, it's time to put the new fan in. Take the fan and position its wires so that they'll slip down through the hole in the sample chamber. Slide the fan in all the way to the bottom, and it's okay at this point if it's touching the bottom. And we take the O-ring position it around the fan and pack it around the diameter of the fan until it touches the bottom of this recess that it's going in. You'll feel that when it hits the bottom. 2 fan wires, one is red and one is either solid black or black with a red stripe. The solid red wire will go to the feed-through connector inside of this fan cover that goes to the orange wire. The black wire goes to the black wire. You'll need tweezers to plug it in. Okay. This is the position that it should be in, the flat side of the fan cover near this hose connector here. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm holding my thumb on the shaft of the motor and I'm holding the fan blades on the bottom of the chamber with a slight pressure. And I get this cover roughly in position. Don't worry about getting anything exact right now. Let's start these 2 screws that hold the cover on and make sure that none of these other wires are underneath the cover. We just want to start these screws until the fan cover starts pulling down against the bottom of the block. Now, I've been holding my finger on this fan and it is turning freely because I've let some of the pressure off there. Now it's touching. You want it to where it is very slightly touching. It won't rotate completely. I'm going to keep my finger on the fan shaft just so it doesn't, so I can sense that if it moves a little bit. And I'm going to tighten these 2 screws alternately. I'm not pushing down on the fan, I'm just sensing its position, in hopes that by tightening this cover down and pushing it that direction, that I will have moved the fan blade slightly away from the bottom of the chamber. If I did, it'll spin. And this does not spin freely enough. It's still rubbing in one place. So I'm going to loosen these screws a turn or a turn and a half. I'm going to push on that cover and then tighten them. The instructions don't contain this step. This is something I've developed over time, and I think now the fan is spinning freely. Make sure these two screws are tight, because if this thing is in the proper position now, we want it to stay that way. Now that the fan is in there, it spins freely, we want to take this manifold, and the gasket stayed on there, which is good. I can just set this down on there. Alternately, if the gasket did not stay on there, you're going to have to position it and make sure that the surface of the top of the chamber is clean. There's no dirt or debris or plant material or anything that crosses the gasket. You want to make sure that the holes are still good in the gasket. And then you need to set this manifold down on the screws, lining up one side. Hold it while you get some of the screws started. All of these screws have to pass through all of those holes in the gasket. And the gasket has to be laying flat, and it can't be kinked or folded. You can feel when they go through the holes. And lift it up and visually check that it's laying flat, and you see every screw going through every hole. And then tighten. Well, no, you don't tighten it yet. Now we need to make sure that the fan is not rubbing on the fan shroud on the inside of this manifold piece. And you can reach down inside and spin the fan blade manually, and when you let go, it should continue spinning for a few turns. You'll know it's free, and in this case it is. These are 256 threaded screws. You can snug them down, but you don't want to tighten them so tight that they'll strip. Tighten them in a star pattern the way you would a car tire, going back and forth across the center. Okay. Now that the fan is installed, it's time to reassemble the rest of the head. We'll start with the match valve. Match valve assembly has a hole on one side of this plastic cover and not the other. That hole goes down towards the fan. That's the exhaust tube from the measurement cells. Plug the two wires in, and these wires need to be routed so that they are out of the way of this piece when I put it back on. You can poke them back in there and fold them under like I'm doing here. Okay, and then slide on this nose piece, and when you do so, push it around. You can feel plastic rubbing against metal. You know that there are no wires in there. The same goes for this match assembly. Make sure that there are no wires pinched inside. Once you know that it's not going to be pinching anything, start these two and then put in these two. Tighten these two down and then tighten these two. Okay, there's the bottom. The handle assembly goes on next. And the order in which things go on is important. First is the hinge. You should start these two outer screws to hold the hinge in place. This one has the light source power connector on it. Some 6400 heads will have a 1/4 inch screw on this side and a shorter screw on this side. Use the longer one on the side with the light source connector. I'm not tightening those, I'm just running them up to where they stop. And next is a thermal barrier. This has to be between the handle and the hinge. The latching mechanism will work if it's in the wrong position, but the geometry of the whole thing is thrown off, and it's best to take advantage of the thermal barrier that provides. Okay, there's enough play in the hinge, in the holes in the hinge, that this top assembly can tilt side to side. So you want to push downward on both hinges, on both sides of the hinge, and tighten the two outside screws. Now this part, this block here, the purpose of it is to stiffen this up so that it's not able to move. So you push down very hard on that while you tighten these two screws, and you want to tighten them actually very tight. There's no play whatsoever in that now. Reattach the chamber top. You need to route the log switch wire, plug it in, have it come down the side of the head, and next would be the PAR sensor for the chamber. Plug it in, and then bend it over and crease the wire right there so it tends to stay in that position. Do the same thing with the log switch wire and crease it into position so it tends to stay in this position. And this lessens the chance of, when you put the tripod mount plate on the bottom, it lessens your chances of pinching these wires in there, so you know they're going to stay in that position. Next comes the light source connector. Install the bottom of the chamber. Make sure the O-rings are still there in place. Thermocouple. Sometimes when you put this hose on here, it's much easier to flare it out slightly with something that's smooth. There's a tendency for it to catch on these pipes that it plugs onto. Push that one all the way down and push this one on. Make sure they both bottom out against the surface that they're mating on. Now you should be able to turn on the 6400, and you should hear this mixing fan running inside the chamber. So have the chamber open, turn it on and off so you know that you do indeed hear it. There's a motor inside of this housing for the chopper assembly that also makes some noise. You don't want to mistake the two. And that is it.